Every entrepreneur has a different background and perspective, and those different perspectives bring a very unique influence to how they engage in their business and their personal development. I'm here today with Courtney, and Courtney recently wrote a book, and I'm really excited to learn about it, and I hope that it can help you guys as well. Courtney, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the book that you wrote?
I am first a mom, my wife and mom of four. I am a registered nurse still. I love music. I'm a singer. I'm a flute player. I love personal development. I love health and fitness. I'm a yoga instructor. And I got into this entrepreneurial space a couple of years ago. And forgive my voice. It's part of, I've had a long line of years of health issues that have just affected my health negatively, and my voice has kind of taken part of that. So, but it was a couple of years ago when my husband and I went to Russell Brunson's Mastermind in Paradise in Cancun for just the adults.
Mhm.
And he kind of hooked me. He goes, "Hey, you want to come to Cancun?" I'm like, "Sure, I want to go to Cancun." And he's like, "Okay, but you kind of got to go to these mastermind sessions first." I'm like, "Okay, fine, for fun, for free." Well, not really free, but I'm just going there as a tag along. So,
Sure.
but then I heard Russell speak a few times and I'm like thinking, I think I can do something, but I don't know what. And I
Yeah.
felt that burn, that call. And then it wasn't until a few months later, I think, and that I started to get more ideas. But then it wasn't until almost a year later that I got the idea, I think I can write a book. I've had almost a decade of health issues,
Mhm.
and I've learned a whole lot going through nursing school, being a mom, trying to balance everything and try to make my health a priority in some way. And I thought, I'm just going to sit down, and I just wrote a whole bunch of ideas of what I would teach people if they're going through hard times, what to do, what they should think about, and how they can learn to be happy or find joy, even in the most difficult days.
Mhm.
And so that's where this idea came in for the book. And I was really slow writing it at first. And I wrote up maybe 3 chapters, and I just kind of let it sit by the wayside.
I can relate to that.
Yeah, I mean, Russell taught us that Stephen Pressfield said the hardest part about writing is actually sitting down to write.
Mhm.
And when I have 4 kids to take care of, I was still at my nursing job right now, and it's like, well, how do I make the time to just sit down there and start typing? Just
Yeah.
let it go and just let the words fly off just from my fingers. But it wasn't until Funnel Hacking Live 9.5, the virtual one,
Mhm.
after it was done, I'm like, I gotta dial in and finish writing this book. And so that's when I talked with my husband, like, okay, when can I have time to write? Okay, well, I have this window on this day where I have no kids. Well, they're all gone. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sit down for 2 or whatever, how many hours it is, and just write here, get time here and time here and time here.
Mhm.
And I finished my first draft within the next few months. So Funnel Hacking 9.5 was September 2024, I think, right?
Mhm.
It's been a while. I finished it 2025, and then like January. And then I got more editing done. I got an editor lined up, and then it got it ready for publishing. And then it came out on July 14th, just like last month. So on Amazon. And so that's how the journey, how this came to be. And I'm a lot better at writing than I am at speaking.
Mhm.
I can get the words so much clearer in writing. So that's kind of been a struggle for me, and I blame it on health issues that I've had that just make it hard to think clearly and process what I'm trying to say. But it's it's been a journey, and I'm very proud of it.
Well, right on. Like you said, the hardest part is sitting down to write. I started writing my book in 2020 and I published it in January this year.
Nice.
It was a really long process. And a lot of that was I just kept dealing with maybe some imposter syndrome as I was writing or as I was working with my co writer and editor, where we would start to get into a chapter or a section and then it just didn't feel right. And we go back and it almost was this perpetual cycle of excuses on why we shouldn't finish the book. And this past summer, around Funnel Hacking 9.5, maybe, We kind of just said, if we don't send this to print, if we don't get it done, it's not ever going to happen.
Hmm.
So
Maybe that had an effect on you too.
yeah, editorial. Well, that was actually a really influential one for me, and I had really appreciated going to the previous funnel hacking lives. 9.5, I watched on the couch in my basement, and for whatever reason, I didn't even watch the whole thing, to be honest. I was tuning in when I could tune in around work and family schedules. But there were some really influential ones. Like that was the first time where Richmond Inn's Tiny Challenge like conversation actually stuck with me. And I said, no, 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 this could work. Because I'd heard him talk about it before, but I was like, that was the first one. So I think around then, yeah, we just committed to finishing the book. And it is definitely a struggle to set aside the time and then commit to it. So I applaud you for that. I think the hardest part about being an entrepreneur, especially in the early stages, is how do you establish that rhythm and consistency? And I think what you shared just barely, if you guys didn't pick up on it, is a very important part. You looked at your schedule, you found your blocks, and you just committed to them. I think that that's a crucial thing for people to figure out how to do is that time management piece. And it's as easy as living by the calendar, finding the space, and committing. So, can I ask, your book is titled My Diamond Within. Where did that name come from, and what was kind of the inspiration behind that?
Well, I like to liken the life process of refining, either so you can call it silver or like diamond.
Mhm.
We're all being refined in our journey here on Earth, right? And diamonds cannot be formed without intense heat and pressure.
Mhm.
Just like silver cannot be purified without that heat, right? In the middle of the hottest part of the fire. And I also love diamonds because um, it's the month of my birthstone.
Gotcha.
Yeah, April. April has the diamond birthstone. And so I kind of feel like there's a lot of symbolism of so when I was born, like I feel like there's no joke or no coincidence that I was born in April because it's a diamond. I
Mhm.
love diamonds. Granted, all gemstones are kind of formed the same way, but I feel like there's something special about a diamond. And I loved my designer, how this person came up with the cover design. And it's like we're the diamonds being refined in the rough, like Aladdin, the diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it just fit. And I actually ran it by um, Russell a couple times. Like if I was to come up with like a company name or something, I'm thinking diamond something, and I give him a couple ideas, and he's like, "Ooh, the diamond within. That's cool."
Yeah.
So maybe you can blame Russell because he kind of picked it, and it just kind of felt right. And I was going back and forth between title, like, should it be should it be my, and but a couple people said, my diamond within seems to fit better.
Mhm.
And as the subtitle suggests, it says refined by pressure, defined by joy. And we're not defined by our circumstances or our trials.
Absolutely.
You know, it's how we respond to them, and it's how we're able to feel gratitude or find joy even on the most difficult days. When you're feeling crappy, like I woke up this morning, I feel crappy this morning, and it was a challenge just to even get up and get going on the day. And those are like, can you handle those days, those moments with grace? Even if you feel crappy, can you still push forward and realize, okay, I just got to keep moving. Just try not to get drowned in the thoughts of, oh, this sucks, this is awful, that kind of stuff, and
Yeah.
just keep moving. That's something that I do talk about in I think even the first chapter is just do then what's the next right thing you can do? Just one step at a time.
Mhm.
Don't focus on the bigger encompassing picture. It's sometimes too overwhelming. Like if you focus on how far you have to go, it's like, holy crap, I can't make it. That's way too far. If you look at, have you ever climbed like Mount Timpanogos or something similar?
Yes.
Yeah, I've done it one time. If you look at, that's like a 15-mile round trip.
Mhm.
Like, but if you look at how far you have to go, it's like, oh, well, that's really far, right? But if you just focus on one step, you get there. And that's how you make it through your trials. That's how you get through the entrepreneurial journey. You just focus on what's the next best thing I can do or the next thing I can
Mhm.
do.
I really like that you qualified it with not just what's the next thing, but you said the next right thing.
Yeah.
That necessarily implies that you're still putting forth some critical thought and you're not getting lost in the overwhelming, maybe tide of your struggle or obstacle at the moment. You're minimizing your scope of view so you can focus. You're thinking through what the appropriate action is, and then you're taking it. That's, I think, a really good way to surmise how to make a decision as an entrepreneur who's maybe in overwhelm or who's overloaded by obstacles and stressors at the time. So
Yeah.
I really like the way that you said that.
Yeah.
Uh, Before we jump more into maybe the book and what's inside of it, I like to maybe ask a little bit about what your personal background was that led you to this point, because different people obviously have different perspectives, like we said, and that awesome hook. Uh, but my thought behind this is that obviously that's what makes us each unique individuals, is that background and that perspective. And I know when I was an entrepreneur starting out, I hyper focused on what was in front of me and I didn't listen to anything going on around me or the outside world. But that also means I didn't get mentorship. I didn't get help. I wasn't, learning from other people's struggles. So an important aspect of sharing this stuff for me is how can I help someone else who might be going through an obstacle or a struggle that we've had in the past that we've learned from, that we can teach, how to get around or how to get through. So do you mind sharing a little bit about what was your personal background that maybe led you to this point?
To where I'm at right now, I feel like 7 years of nursing school,
Mhm.
from prerequisites, like even before prerequisites, all the way to a bachelor degree in 2021. It wasn't what I had planned for my life. It was a thought, like my husband said in 2013, I feel like you need to go back to school. I keep getting this recurring thought, like, I was a music major out of high school. Okay.
Mhm.
I wanted to do flute performance. I was voice and choir. And like, I steered clear of like math. Well, I mean, I did okay in math. I steered clear of that and health sciences. But then, so it was really scary. Like, I had two kids at the time. I was pregnant with my third also at the time.
Mhm.
So it was like, do I really want to go back to school right now when I have two little kids? And it's like, I'm pregnant with my third.
Yeah.
And it just felt like the right thing to do. And I ended up having my fourth child, or being pregnant with my fourth child when I started my bachelor degree, right in the smack of COVID.
Mhm.
And I feel like all of that schooling, clinicals, the nursing experience, the bachelor degree, all of that, I mean, I think it really helped me prioritize what is important in my life and time management, and helped me learn how to be more compassionate and caring. Also, like a lot of nursing skills, a lot of assessment skills, being able to listen, being able to pick up on those little cues, those little things that maybe someone else wouldn't notice. Because in a patient, you got to, especially those who maybe are nonverbal, like a lot of the patients I work with right now are a pediatric population and they're mostly nonverbal. So you got to pick up on their body language or their facial cues. And so
Mhm.
a lot of that, I think, helped me get to the point where I was ready to take on something that is big as writing a book. And I honestly didn't feel like it was that big of a deal when I was writing it, because it was like, I just feel like I'm called to do this. And so I'm just going to do it.
Mhm.
And I'm not going to just let it sit by the wayside. Um, like I remember talking a couple times um, to Russell just through Messenger, just asking him questions here and there. He's like, hey, give yourself some credit. You wrote a book,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
before even I even started my last, the one he's been talking about for how many years he's
Mhm.
trying to write. He hasn't written it yet. And he was like, hey, you got it done before I even started mine, type of thing. So it's, and then of course being a mom and having to prioritize their care and everything at home, it's just been
Mhm.
a lot of work, but I feel like it's prepared me to be able to handle this and get it out there and see it through the finish, because I saw nursing school from start to finish. And I didn't have to get my bachelor's degree, but I had this feeling like I just need to get my bachelor degree. And one thing that was cool about that is at my pending ceremony, I went to Dixie State University,
Mhm.
and it's Utah Tech right now. They changed the name. But so we made the trip down to St. George for the graduation ceremony and then the pending ceremony for just the nursing program. They awarded me the Student of the Year award for my graduating class. And I didn't, like, me? I'm not even the best. I know I'm not the best nurse out there, but I talk about some experiences of that in my book, of how I reached out to my instructors and let them know my situation and things I was dealing with. And during smack of COVID, and there was other things that I do talk about in here. But because I made known to them what I was going through, they saw the grit. They saw the resilience, the persistence, the determination. I had to get very creative with projects and assignments, and my capstone project, it was very involved, a lot of work with that. So I feel like that ultimately prepared me to be able to handle what came next, and that this is going to help me prepare what I'm going to have to handle next and next. And that's the interesting thing about our life trials and situations, that each thing is designed to prepare us for what's coming next. Like a new challenge means you're ready for new growth. It means that God or the universe sees that you're ready to take this on. And it's like, an obstacle course, like American Ninja Warrior, for instance. Like, okay, I made it through that one. Okay, stay on the ladder.
Yeah, next, get in front of me. Yeah.
Okay, now like at a big wall, whatever, So you do. It's all designed to see us to the finish, and it's never meant to be easy. But the refining process is supposed to be hard.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Would you say you're a very trusting individual?
I would hope so.
So
Nurses are the most trusted medical profession.
I believe it. As I'm hearing you share your story a little bit, I had the thought, and maybe it's a concept that you didn't even recognize at the time you were sharing it, but you were leading with trust in how you interacted with your teachers or your instructors while you were in school. And part of that leading with trust is that you were very vulnerable about where your weaknesses or your shortcomings or your obstacles were. And that way you could seek assistance, help, guidance, I would assume. And that, action isn't just you to the people of authority above you, but that's also being, I assume, extended to your peers and the people around you in your personal space. And in doing that, I think you open yourself up to a position where people can help you grow. They can support your self-development. And if you don't lead with that trust as the precursor to those relationships, then you're, necessarily stonewalling yourself away from that assistance and that help in your growth and development. So I think that's something that's really important. And I recognize, in my own journey, in my military background, for example, there were times where I wasn't starting with trust. And if I'm not leading with trust, I'm necessarily creating a vacuum there that goes both ways, even if you don't recognize it. And you get essentially a lower quality outcome than what you would have got if you would have just been vulnerable, open, honest, transparent with all of those things, those feelings and thoughts. So I really like that you've shared that, because I think that that's something that anybody listening can learn from.
Yeah. Yeah, if you don't make yourself vulnerable, I mean, yeah, we're all scared to be vulnerable because we think, what are they going to think of me? Are they going to give unwanted advice, or am I going to be back where I was before? But the thing is you don't know who's going to be the one that's going to be the one that's going to need or be able to help you. Sorry, struggle with my thoughts here, but like, I had no idea I was going to get that Student of the Year award. I've got the plaque at home. It's like, maybe this big, but it's still, I see it every day. Like, they saw enough in me that I was worthy of that out of a group of 84 students. So
Sure.
not like huge, but it was just an online program. But also it creates a connection because they see, oh yeah, there's a softer side of this person. Oh yeah, they're really going through something really hard, and like, oh, I want to help that person. And if we don't open up about certain things, yeah, there's some things you shouldn't open up about, or only speak to the most trusted individuals, just because of the nature of our challenges. Like, you would want to talk to experts or health experts or therapists or whoever, but you just don't know who's going to be the right person.
Sure.
And if you don't make that attempt to maybe reach out to people, it's just like, are you going to get the help you need? Maybe, maybe not. But it's with that vulnerability that creates that connection and creates that friendships and lasting relationships that, yeah, this person helped me and I helped them. And so now we're in like some kind of joint venture or whatever.
Yeah.
It creates long-lasting relationships that you can last for whoever, forever.
Well, and I'm a big proponent of a concept I call relationship-based leadership. So the way you lead your organization or the way that you lead your team is predicated upon the relationships that you build with them. I have, for example, in my e-commerce business, my office manager. She's my right hand, number two in command. I pretty much tell her everything about my life. So, I'm still a commander in the National Guard. I had a soldier who was dealing with like some suicidal ideations this past week, and one of my friends got fired from his job, and so I'm like trying to shoulder some of these burdens and help these people and get them resources, things like that. But I go into the office and I just tell her, I say, "Hey, Abby, I am a little bit maybe suffering from some acute depression today. I'm going to be back in my office alone. Maybe don't leave me alone all day. Come back. Let's, check on me. And can you help me with these tasks that I know I'm moving sluggish and I might not get to?" But I've built that relationship on so much trust that when she's having a bad day in return, we talk, we support each other, we help each other out. Um, it makes the relationship stronger. And then it creates an environment or a system where you're constantly experiencing support from other people so that you can continue to help each other grow and push the organization towards its goals. I think it's a really healthy way to do things, but you have to get through, like you said, maybe that fear of being judged because it is vulnerable. I'm telling someone about my weaknesses for that day, and they could absolutely use them against me if they were spiteful or hostile. But the
Yeah,
point
that's
is, if
just
you're
like, suck it up, man.
yeah, if you're trusting and you've cultivated that relationship and you've invested in it, I think it's a very rewarding outcome on the back end. So I definitely advocate for that.
And I think it's important to just be upfront about it and say, this is nothing against you, or this is just how I'm feeling today. Because I think a lot of people, myself included, can take things the wrong way and internalize it. Oh, it's all my fault, type of thing. When it may not be at all. It's just, this is how I'm feeling today. I need some time, and then check up on me, like you said, a little bit later. Then, because as a nurse, medical professional, I know that depression stems from, chemical imbalances. So it's like, once that imbalances maybe resolved itself, or I feel a little bit better, I feel more calm, sometimes you just need to step out from the chaos.
Yeah.
And if you've got kids, like I've got kids at home all day long, but thankfully now they're all in all-day school. From my almost 17-year-old to my 5-year-old, they're all in all-day school. So it's like now I get a little bit of time, a break from them. So, but if you don't take those moments to just take time for you, take time to just process what's going on. Like, I need just a couple minutes. I need some time,
Sure.
You need that to be able to go back out there and go in the fray and handle these relationships, your friends that are just going through all these hard times, because there's times where you can be the one that mentors and helps, and then they need to help you. And that's what's awesome about these relationships, is that it's not always, I'm up here, we're both up here all the same time. It's it's kind of like
Yeah.
this most
It's
of
a
the time,
natural ebb and flow.
So, and I love that you talked about that with how you lead your business and your assistant and your friends. It's awesome to see that in the real world. And we see that from a lot of our entrepreneurial friends, and how they're leading their business and how they're leading the field,
Yeah,
It's awesome.
absolutely. Absolutely. So let's get into the book a little bit.
Yeah.
Who is the book written for, or who is it intended to help?
I've been going back and forth about who I actually wrote it for, because in the beginning it was like, I just need to write this. I've had a couple of people say, this is your audience, this is your audience. But if I get down to it, it's really for anybody going through a struggle. But if I was to do a target audience, it might be better towards like mom entrepreneurs, because that's what I am, and it's probably no wonder that women get more autoimmune diseases. I was diagnosed with autoimmune disease. I had thyroid cancer, thyroidectomy, so it might relate better to mom entrepreneurs who are going through a similar situation that I am. But the principles apply to anybody. It's just, it's not for any one specific audience, I don't feel like. But to market it, I would have to probably put put it to mom entrepreneurs.
Well, it's good to, have something that's relatable, right? The mom entrepreneurs is a connection point that you have with that whole audience that makes it so that your messaging resonates with them because they relate to you. They relate to your story.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great idea. If you were to surmise, the premise of the book that you could share with somebody to make a difference in their life, what would you maybe summarize that as?
There's so much in it. I would just tell them that your life is not defined by your circumstances or your trials. It's meant for you. It's designed specifically for you by, I believe, an all-wise creator to help you in your journey of becoming softer, humbler, more like God, and to teach you where to find the joy in life
Mm-hmm.
when you're feeling awful, when you're having a depressed day, when you don't know what the outcome is going to be. It's where can you find your joy? And the answer is, if you believe it, as I do, I believe that God created all things and that his presence is in everything. So if God is in everything, then the joy can be found in every circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
If you know where to look. If it's in the simple things, it's in maybe like like a Bath and Body Works soap. Still, I love Bath and Body Works soap. Maybe it's in a flower. Maybe it's in a walk. Maybe it's in meditation. Maybe it's in just looking outside or a hug or playing with your kids. I feel like it's the simple things that help us remember where the joy can be found when it's a bad day. And why I think we need kids. Because kids remind us what it's like to have fun and
Absolutely.
to be imaginative and to play. And those things help us feel good. And imagination can be so helpful on a bad day. You just sit back and maybe you like look at the sky and just stare off into the space and just kind of zone out for a little bit. And then you can get back into the fray and handle whatever's going on at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Have a chance to regroup up here or to get some of those discombobulated thoughts just back in order. So it's, can you find the joy in the journey of refining? And the answer is yes. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I really like the concept that you're sharing here. Something that's maybe not inherently natural to people is finding joy in the challenge or finding joy in the obstacle. And like you mentioned, if, you believe in a omnipresent creator, then there's necessarily good in everything. Uh, I've struggled with some relationships in the military this past year. And one of my mentors there was talking to me about look back on how you've grown as a result from these hostile relationships or the friction that we've had in these relationships. And he says, are you better at communicating now? Are you better at your interpersonal, interactions? Are you better at how you pitch and phrase your ideas and how you present yourself to sell those ideas to people? And the answer to all of those things is probably a resounding yes. But I was miserable going through that challenge, but it's because I wasn't maybe skilled enough at the time to recognize the good that was coming until I had, the hindsight to look back. So I think that what you're describing is a skill that is invaluable to not just entrepreneurs, but to anybody who cares about personal growth or development, who leads an organization. If you can look at the challenge in front of you or the obstacle in front of you, and you can stop and assess all of the benefits that are going to come from you suffering through that, which is really hard to do.
Absolutely.
It gives you maybe that motivation, that courage, that drive to just continue to make it through that obstacle.
Yep.
That's a really inspirational thought, in my opinion. So I really like where this is going, and I'm excited to read it.
Well, I actually kind of talk about that in my book. I quote a little bit from Dr. Benjamin Hardy's book, The Gap and the
Mhm.
Gain, because I got that book, two of his books actually, from Mastermind in Paradise in 2023 when he was one of the keynote speakers there.
Mhm.
And then again this past June, which is cool. But it's like, can you look back at yourself and say, and like have compassion on your former self? Like, would you change anything about that growth process?
Mhm.
Most people would say no, because it's like, if you can look at yourself with, or like 10 years ago, if you could sit, like you were sitting and looking at yourself like 10 years ago, what would you say to yourself 10 years ago? I mean, what would you tell yourself? Would you say, you're a loser? No. Would you say you're not going to amount to anything? Of course not. You say, keep going. It's okay. You've got this, right?
Yeah.
And I also talk about how you want to be remembered in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever written your own eulogy before?
No, but that's an experience that, or an exercise people have recommended to me before.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. I did it once and it was like, this is so eye-opening. It's like, I don't want to be remembered for how much money I made or where I traveled or stuff like that. I don't want to be remembered. Did I rise to the occasion? Did I live with zeal and passion and creativity, and just did I spread positivity and light everywhere I went? And did I be the very best self I could be? I don't want God to tell me, why weren't you like Mother Teresa? Or why weren't you like this heroine or this female?
Sure.
Like, well, because you didn't design me to be like this person. You designed me to be me. I want to be the best me that you created me to become. And that's what you need to remember when you want to be remembered. How you want to be remembered is, am I being the best Parker I can be, or the best Courtney that I can be? And that's how you want to live your life. That's your blueprint, looking forward, but also looking back, as if you could look back on your life. It's like, it's just like one long timeline,
So you just shared my core theme, and the longtime listeners, all 20 of you, will have picked up on that. I very much believe in the personal journey to self-actualization. How do you become the best version of yourself? And it's, the incremental process. As long as I'm being a better Parker today than I was yesterday, then I'm making progress towards that goal. And, to be honest, it's an unattainable goal. How do you become the best version of yourself? There's always a way to get better. But I love the thought process associated with it. It's not just business. Like you said, you don't necessarily want to be remembered for money. I want to be remembered for the impact that I make, for the obstacles that I overcome, for the struggles that I solve for myself and for my family and for my people, my community. And all of that requires me to constantly improve, to be a better version of myself today than I was yesterday.
And one of the key points is to give ourselves grace in the process, because we're always going to be slipping up and making mistakes. And I believe most people are understanding of that. And God obviously is very understanding of that. That perfection comes slowly.
Sure.
I don't believe perfection is ever granted in this life. It has to be given in the next life. It's so great a gift that it has to be given. But darn it, we do the best we can each and every day. And when we slip, we get up, we keep moving. When it's a hard day, if you're leaning forward like this all day, it's like, oh man, this is terrible. I'm never going to do this. You just get up and just take a deep breath. You just keep going. You just calm down. It's not easier said than done, obviously, because I talk about a lot of just dark night times I've had with just horrible symptoms related to my health issues. It's like, is this ever going to end? And sometimes it feels like it's never going to end. But if I live with my life thinking that it's never going to end, then I'm not going to find the joy. I'm always going to be focused on the negative, and that severely impacts our health too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, you met Jessica Cunningham in Mexico, right?
I did.
Okay. Moment for me. So I'm talking to her about the belief coding stuff, and we're learning about the underlying role that your subconscious plays in your physical manifestations of health. And if you're focused on the negatives, the things that give you the anxiety or that stress you out, your body has the physical manifestation of symptoms, pains, problems. So I learned that from her there. I come back. I'm currently running for Vineyard City Council.
Nice.
Vote Parker McCumber. And before all of these big campaign events, candidates forum, Q&A sessions, cottage meetings, I sought, the county Republican Party endorsement. And as I'm going into each of those events, I notice I wake up that morning and I have intense lower back pain. Like, oh, I shouldn't get out of bed today. Oh, I need to just cancel. Oh, I shouldn't participate. And I realized, I'm like, why did I have this pain manifest today? I wasn't in pain yesterday. I didn't do anything strenuous. Like, this just doesn't make any sense to me. And then I slug through my day to get to that event. And when I go, the second I started to talk to someone or kind of got into my flow or my groove or I was set, the pain vanished.
That's awesome.
It was seriously a manifestation of me having anxiety focused on a negative about what a stressor that was going to be in my life. And as soon as I was me again, I was in my flow, in my state, and I was not focused on the negatives, the pain would vanish.
That's awesome.
So I think what you're saying is something of incredible importance. And I know it's still being researched a lot. And I know that there's fields of study surrounding this phenomenon. But if you can actually remove the negative thought or not focus on the negative thought and replace it with a positive one, a forward-thinking one, I think there's a lot of actual merit in how you can influence your immediate health or symptoms.
Yeah, and something that I've just recently read, I've been doing a lot of reading with Dr. Joe Dispenza, who's deep into neuroscience and in the subconscious and how emotions affect our health.
Okay.
The book I'm reading right now is called Becoming Supernatural. And what I just read today was that positive thoughts are worthless if they don't have an elevated emotion that goes with it. So
Okay.
he said the thoughts don't make it past the brainstem. It's like you can do all the positive thinking that you want, but if there isn't an elevated emotion to accompany it, and he said,
Okay. No, I had to stop. I'm thinking about that, but it makes total sense.
Yeah. Yeah, because Joe Dispenza teaches that the language of the body is feelings.
Mhm.
And I think it's a hard thing to master, to try to just have an elevated emotion just come up out of nowhere. But if
Yeah.
you focus on it and like do the type of meditation or just, you can do it. It takes some effort and work, but the more you do it, the better you get at it. And so the same thing with you, waking up, like it's really hard to not be anxious about a new situation and be worried. But the more you do it and the more you just learn to let go and surrender to a higher power or universe or whatever you believe in, that everything's going to be okay. And I just have to be the instrument, it all works out for the best, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of cool. Kind of cool thought though. But yeah, I do talk about meditation a little bit in my book, just because I am also a yoga instructor and the benefits that can come from that. So if you don't do it, I suggest you start doing it.
I'm actually a brand new practitioner to some degree.
Oh yeah?
So I get coaching from Mandy Keene. She does,
Awesome.
personality and character coaching kind of in our community. But a lot of it is how do you harness your personality traits, like your Clifton strengths, your disc profile? How do you harness that to be the better version of yourself?
That's awesome.
And, my biggest weakness, if I'm just being, which I hate, never mind. I hate how this is phrased. My biggest weakness, honestly, is I have a hard time saying no to people if I feel like they need me or if I can benefit them or if I can help them. And so I put myself in situations where I do way too many things at once. And I feel like I have a really high bandwidth and capacity to, fulfill different roles and juggle different things. But I find myself in situations where I'm just doing so much that I drop the ball somewhere and then I feel guilty. So I was working with Mandy through that. And I'm like, I'm running for city council. I'm running an e-commerce business. I'm running a coaching business. I'm starting to raise my content creation and production quality. And that's, a time drain. I'm finishing my doctorate. I'm coaching high school football.
Holy cow.
The list just keeps going on, right?
Wow, we sound kind of similar. I feel like I want to do so much. Like I want to do this. I want to do this and this and this and this. But
So you get to this point where something has to fall.
mm-hmm.
And I realized I started like missing appointments, or I would have so many things on my schedule that I just couldn't actually get things done. And I was talking to Mandy about this, and it's falls directly in line with my personality and my character. Like that's just how I was programmed, I guess. But she had me do some guided meditation, try and listen, learn, feel from the universe. What am I going to keep? What do I need to let go? Really interesting experience for me. Because it resonates on a deeper personal level if you actually commit to doing it. I feel like I kept getting this feeling that everything I was doing was important, and that if I could get through this tougher season of my life, I was going to be the better version of myself that I want to be on the other end. And so it kind of encouraged me to maybe endure the suffering a little bit. Like, it wasn't that I felt like I needed to let go of anything. It was that I needed to do this for my growth, for my development. But that brings a level of peace, because then, I mean, it was the guided meditation that actually allowed me to see the joy, like you were talking about earlier, in those challenges and the benefits that were going to come from that.
Yeah.
But the meditation was necessary for me to understand that. So I recently just downloaded the Triple Flame app, and I'm, maybe starting to learn more about meditation, because it was something I didn't even know about 2 months ago.
Yeah, it's awesome. I've been doing some of Joe Dispenza's meditations on you've got to read his stuff to understand it,
Mhm.
but to connect with what he calls the quantum field. It's so cool.
Okay.
But it's, in my opinion, it's just like connecting with the energy or the space or God or spiritual realm, whatever you want to call it. And it's just, can you connect with that energy source or that greater mind or that intelligence
Yeah.
to get what you want versus like what God wants for you. So I think it's a toss up. It's like, who do I need to become in the process? What's my refining process? I mean, this is all meant for me. This is all who I need to be for the next thing that's coming, like I said, and the next thing after that. And each time you get stronger, you get better, you get softer, you kinder, more compassionate. And it's just awesome to see that growth happen,
Yeah.
and just to remember that there's joy in every single moment, in every single conversation, even in an argument or even in a tough illness or a hard diagnosis. Like, I remember when I got the unofficial cancer diagnosis back in 2022. Um, I was there. I think I was 37 at the time. I'm 40 years old now. They can't, they couldn't or what's the word? They couldn't say it was or that it wasn't cancer until after a biopsy.
Mhm.
So, like, okay, I might have cancer. It was just a little nodule on the left side of my thyroid. So, but it was determined that I needed to get it removed because of some other labs that were just kind of way off the chart. And so I got it removed. Then it's like, I could have gotten really upset and cranky and like, I got cancer, and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. But I was like, as a medical professional, I knew that I can't do anything unless I know for sure, yes or no, is it cancer? So I just had to wait. I took medications that they told me to take, got the thyroid taken out. Biopsy said positive, yes, it was cancer. Like, okay, I dodged the bullet there. It didn't go systemic. It was fine. Then it actually ended up spreading to 4 other nodules that I had removed later that year. And so I dodged the bullet again. And to this day, my tumor markers are undetectable. So no cancer, thankfully. But it's just scary. It's like, holy crap, I did have cancer
Yeah.
in me. It's like, and now I'm living without the precious thyroid gland and on replacement hormone therapy probably the rest of my life. So that's kind of been a challenge in and of itself, because the thyroid does a lot.
Yeah.
Does so much that you just don't even realize. So that's been part of the challenge, is like, just got to deal with the pesky symptoms that don't resolve themselves, and I'm still trying to get answers. And it's just like, I just got to take it one day at a time, get this done, look back at the day like, I did get some stuff done today.
Yeah.
I didn't sit down and do nothing. I got up, I got a workout in. I didn't lay down in bed and cry all day type of thing.
Mhm.
Because some days it feels like that's all I can do is just get out of bed and just take one foot in front of the other, but because I feel so awful.
So it's like you said, you take, what's the next right step I can take?
Exactly.
I think that's a good way to phrase that mindset. And it's probably something that's really valuable that will help the listeners.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you sharing that.
You're welcome.
Transition a little bit.
Yeah.
We've talked about kind of your background in the book a little bit. I'm curious if you're willing to talk about for the people that are most of the audience, I think, is new entrepreneurs, solo entrepreneurs trying to figure out how do they grow? How do they scale? How do they overcome the obstacles that are impeding someone from starting? I think a book is probably the best way to generate instant authority and credibility. You're sharing what you know with the world in a very upfront format. I recommend, actually, and I've said it on previous podcasts, I recommend that everybody writes a book because I'm a big believer in the expert business model in the sense that everyone has a unique perspective, everyone has unique experiences, and those things put together puts you in a position where you have knowledge that can help someone else. And you should get paid for that knowledge.
Dang it.
A book is a good way to convey that. So can I ask, now that you've written the book, what's the next step as far as, are you selling the book? Are you doing free plus shipping? How are you marketing the book? What's the plan there?
Well, that's the challenge because my husband helps me, does all the funnel building because he can do it for free. We're not to the point where like we've got lots of cash flow coming in right now just because
Sure.
it's been really hard lately with unexpected expenses. But we just have to work together on it. He's going to help build my funnel for selling the book. We don't have a funnel yet, but we'll get there slowly, eventually.
Mm-hmm.
It's on Amazon, so it can be sold that way. We have a couple of ideas of how to promote the book. There's an Instagram page called Bookish Themes, I think, that another entrepreneur friend told me about, where you just pay a one-time fee and they will advertise your book for you. But we have to have a site or a funnel to drive traffic to it. So that'll come. But I think what makes most sense right now is to do a coaching business.
Sure.
And then maybe after that, I'd love to get on stages. I'd love to sell courses for it, but it's just one thing at a time because
Mm-hmm.
I believe that no success can compensate for failure in the home. And I got to take care of family and kids first
Absolutely.
before anything else comes. But maybe this is like the good time in life where all the kids are in school now, and now I have some more time outside of my part-time nursing job that I can take time to work on that. Just do one thing at a time. And I can't compare myself to other people who look like they've made it because they had their own individual unique challenges and struggles.
Absolutely. You have to run your own race.
And I have my own, and you have to take it at the pace that you can do and what you can handle, and for whatever stress load you can handle that day, because sometimes I can't handle a lot of stress.
Mm-hmm.
It comes with the territory, I think, of my health issues. So I think the fact that I even got this done for the health issues I've been through probably says a lot. But for new entrepreneurs who aren't sure of how to even get started, I mean, I just had the thought that I needed to write a book. So I took thoughts and ideas and I just put topics down. And every time I got a new idea of something, I would add it to the list. If I was writing a chapter and another idea came to me, I would go back and add it. I think it's just being aligned with your purpose. If you feel like, yes, I have to do this, then align with it. And those ideas and thoughts will come to you in unexpected ways and times where you're not thinking about it. Like most often the ideas came when I was busy doing something else.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, I got an idea. Okay, I'm gonna go back and write about it and fix it, or change the wording here, or change the wording there. And it just ended up it was like a polished book after lots of editing and just rewording. And I was so happy with how it turned out. Because I remember thinking, this is going to be kind of hard work. But then I'm like, I just got to do it one page at a time, one chapter at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Once I had the idea of how the book needed to flow and the topics, it just kind of writ itself. And it's awesome when you get into that flow state. I feel like the words are coming from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Someone else, maybe. Not me. It's like the words just flowed off my fingers. And I'm like, how the heck did I write this? Type of thing, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you thought the same way. Like when you read it, like you go back and read it, like, wow, that's good.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, you're 100% right. I think you get into that flow state and it's almost like you're just the conduit for the information. And I think that that's maybe symbolic. You talked about the concept of tapping into the higher intelligence. Um, you know, in the book Think and Grow Rich, they kind of detail, this infinite intelligence that we all have access to, but we've lost the ability to tap into that. Or how do we mentally prepare ourselves or get us to the point where we can access the intelligence? And I think that when we're doing the right thing, the thing that we're supposed to do, that we're called to do, that's when you open that gate a little bit. That's when you're maybe predisposed or put in a position where you can receive inspiration. But if you're doing the wrong things, you're never going to get that.
Exactly.
So I like how that was shared. I would definitely recommend that you get on top of that funnel building. They got the AI now. You do it
That's
in,
true.
in an afternoon, really, really quick. And keep in mind, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? Like I'm a big believer in if you have 80% of a concept in your head, just take the action on it and you refine it as you go, right?
Yeah.
In the military, we use a concept called supervise and refine. So you issue your guidance, you start to take the actions and get the team moving in the direction it needs to go. And then as you're doing the work, you just see what's working, what's not working, what needs to change, and you issue that essentially in amendments as you go.
Yeah.
But that way you're never caught in a position where you're not taking action and you're stagnant. You just
Exactly.
go, go, go. Okay, this isn't working. We change, we pivot.
I think I have a just a different challenge with it being a mom as well and caretaker of the home. I feel like I still have to take care of the home. I still have to go
Yeah.
grocery shopping. I still have to make sure kids have this and that the house is in a mess. And so it comes back to maybe time management and maybe just being better about this is when I'm going to do this. This is when I'm going to do this.
Yeah, I'd almost recommend you use the same principle that you used when you set out the time to write your book. You look at the schedule and just, hey, 15 minutes, I'm going to go type a prompt into AI and that's going to give me the bulk. And then, maybe the next day it's, hey, I've got 15 minutes. I'm going to hit create a funnel and I'm just going to copy and paste some of the stuff in.
Yeah.
But that way it's in manageable chunks. Because I think, you have a really good message and the things that you're sharing, I think, are very inspirational and they're motivating to me. And I'm like, okay, I resonate with the desire to be a better version of myself. And how do I continue to gain joy from the journey and the obstacles? Like, I love to hear that. So I think you have a message that you have an obligation to now share. How do you get it out there? I
And
think,
it'll come.
yeah.
Little by little, it'll come. And I don't feel worried because if you allow anxiety and worry to take it, then it's like you freeze up. It's like you can't let that worry and that fear sit in. You just have to, like we said, do it one thing at a time and manage your time, block out your time, and also to make time for you and for what you need. So it seems like, I know it's not easy. It seems like so overwhelming. I can't do this. I can't do this. I mean, I'm sure all you guys are thinking like, how can I do this? This is impossible. Nothing is impossible.
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
have a plan and you stick to it and you just let go and just let yourself be the vessel or the instrument. Things happen like you would never have thought. Like I would have never have thought like, I'm a humble nurse, I wrote a book. What?
Yeah.
It takes so long.
Yeah. I would never expect, it's like less than 1% of the population writes a book. Growing up, I would have never thought that I was going to be the guy that wrote a book.
And you did.
But when you have that message and you feel the call, like you said, to write it, you have the obligation to share the information, you're making the world a better place, you're trying to help people. That's what it is. That's what I think it boils down to at the root of it is you just have to do it. And if you don't know how to take the action, right? If like Courtney said just a minute ago, if you're overwhelmed and you don't know how to take the action, it feels impossible. I think the first step is the education. You invest in learning for yourself or learning how to convey your message. The second step is taking action. Once you've learned how to do that, you take the action. If you're taking action and you don't know how to get to the next step, it's consistency. And if you don't know how to stay consistent, you're figuring out how to do the time management pieces. And then once you have the education, the action, and the consistency, the last variable is just time. So as long as you're doing it repetitively, consistently for enough time, you'll win. And I've called it the entrepreneur success formula in the past, but I think ultimately what it boils down to is as long as you're taking uh, efforts to constantly learn, to improve your process, to improve your delivery, to improve your efficiency, and you're constantly taking action or consistently taking action, it is impossible for you to fail. At some point, you win.
At some point you do
The
win.
variable is just time again.
Yeah.
So you have to get to this point, the mindset perhaps of if I am taking action and I'm learning, I can endure the amount of time.
And if that idea came to you, then there's a reason for that idea that it needs to get out into the world to someone, some
Mhm.
audience. I feel like there's a lot of this type of stuff that is coming out in the world today because I feel like maybe that's what the world needs now.
Mhm.
Because
I agree.
it's not just for what I wrote. I've been seeing the same kind of things in other material and hearing it from other people. Like they're reading similar things. Like, is that a coincidence that maybe the world needs something like this today? I don't know. I
So
don't feel like it.
a notable business person, Cody Sanchez, if you're familiar, she shared a thought recently that was when God gives you an idea, it's not predicated on your bank account.
Yeah.
It's predicated on your belief to act upon it.
Exactly.
So when I think we get these inspirations or these ideas or these thoughts, there is an immediate humility check. Are you going to trust and act upon it? And I think that that's the obligation. Or do you suffer through the imposter syndrome and you try to talk yourself out of that belief or that idea?
Yeah. One thing that I talk about in my book was before I started writing this, and I had this feeling like I've got this calling, but I feel so weak. I feel like I've been through cancer and I've been through autoimmune. I'm still dealing with pesky symptoms. Like, why would God call someone? I feel so weak and so incapable to do something. I feel so big. And I reached out to Russell about it. Um, and he was kind enough to share um, a comforting response and quoted Tony Robbins. He said, people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in a decade.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to get it all done now. That's not the point.
Mhm.
You don't have to do everything in such a short amount of time. You physically can't do that. But in the long scheme of things, you're going to look back and say, wow, look at all the stuff that I got done.
Mhm.
I mean, that's something that I had all these ideas come to me. Oh, I could do this, I could do this. And I realized I have years left to be able to accomplish this. I don't want that to be an excuse to not do something,
Yeah.
but it's also give yourself grace, do what you can do it one thing at a time, one step at a time, whatever your situation, and just keep moving forward. Life is a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
So if you remember that, I mean, that's how this book came to life. It took me less than a year from start to finish to write the entire thing and get it edited and everything. And then, for some people it takes longer, but for me, that was how I wanted it to be done.
Mhm.
And I just kept with it. And challenges came up. I fixed them. I addressed them. I can't tell you how many times I had to go back to the book cover designer and say, you got to fix this. This doesn't match the dimensions. Can you fix this? Can you fix this? So it's just those little things. You just deal with it one thing at a time. And if it's a little too overwhelming, just take a minute and just do some breathing, do some meditation, just any way you can just recenter yourself so you can get back at it
Mhm.
again. So
I love the message. Uh, so I told you earlier in the episode, I try to frame the show in a way that we give maximum value to the entrepreneurs that are young, budding, starting out, maybe feeling the overwhelm. I think you're doing something that's really impressive in the sense of you're juggling multiple roles right now. And I know there's entrepreneurs out there who are also moms, who are also dads, who have a job that they're doing 9 to 5 and then trying to start a business on the side. Do you have any advice that you would like to share with them about how to juggle those obligations or the best course of action. I think we've kind of talked about some of that, but just a direct message for the listener.
I think one thing that is important is to try to avoid distractions.
Mm-hmm.
Things that are going to steal your time, valuable, precious time, that aren't helping you get to where you need to be, either in your family relationships, marital, or your personal development and career goals. If it's a distraction, if it seems good, but it's not leading you to where you need to go, then it might not be the best thing. Like, social media is a huge time consumer. I cannot stand watching TV anymore because nursing school gave me the growth and progress bug. I can't stand saying, a rare occasion I will sit and watch a movie, but most of the time I can't stand sitting and watching TV. I got to be doing something. I have to be reading something or doing something to keep my house clean or take care of my kids or spend time with. If it's stealing precious time and it's not leading you towards your goals, then it's probably not the best thing. And just make sure, if you've got kids, a family, make sure that the family is solid first. Make sure that they're getting what they need, that you're getting time for you, for your health and your mental well-being, that your marriage isn't falling apart, or partnership or whatever it is isn't falling apart. Because if that falls apart, then all the success that you get after doesn't mean anything. If you don't have that support system, if those family relationships and ties break, then that success isn't going to mean much unless you have a family or a significant other, or someone to share it with and to rejoice in that. So just, if you look at the big picture all at once, like we talked about looking up at the trail to get to hike Timpanogos, it's overwhelming. But if you just do it one thing at a time, look at your calendar, say, okay, I can block out my time for this and I can get this done, then do that. Don't look too far ahead, because then for me, it gets overwhelming. Maybe for some, they have to look far ahead. But I think if you look too far ahead, it's just a little too overwhelming. That's why I think that in life, we're not allowed to do the next step or two. Like if you looked at your entire life's journey and saw what you'd be dealing with in 10 years, would you want? What would you
Don't you want that?
Would you want to know?
I imagine, honestly, actually, 10 years ago, I was still on active duty in the Army. There is no way I could even comprehend my life now.
Yeah, see, if you had seen that journey back then, like back to yourself 10 years ago, I mean, what would you be thinking? Would you be overwhelmed? You're like,
Absolutely.
Do I want this life? I don't know. It's like you're not supposed to see what things you're gonna go through at that end because you're not ready to handle.
Yeah. That's a good way to phrase that. You're not ready yet. There's growth that has to occur first.
Exactly.
So a couple concepts that you shared in there. You mentioned, there could be things that feel good or seem good, but they're actually distractions. I would remind the audience that good is the enemy of great. And if you're constantly pursuing good enough, are you actually ever pursuing a better version of yourself? And then you talked about in the military, we call it priorities of work. So assess your situation and prioritize. And you mentioned making sure that the family is taken care of, the kids have what they need, the marriage is intact, and those things are strong. And I've talked about this in the past. I think it's really crucial that you have that family support. It's chapter 2 in my book, actually.
Awesome.
But family is the foundation for everything that I do. And, that looks different for everybody. Family structures are different. The relationships are maybe different. But at the end of the day, the thing that's not different is having that support and that trust in those relationships. And you have to cultivate and nurture those. Because at the end of the day, that's what unlocks your personal growth.
If you have that support, then you can handle those tougher situations because then they've got your back. And
Absolutely.
then you have their back too, because like we were talking before, that support system, it's a constant ebb and flow of this person's feeling good, this person's feeling bad. Okay, let me lift you up. Now I'm feeling bad. Okay, let me lift you up. So that's just how it works in the family and with your friends, with your coworkers. It's just, if you don't have it, it's going to be really hard.
Yeah.
Because if there's tension at home, there's tension in the business.
Oh, absolutely. You carry it with you,
You
and
do.
vice
And
versa.
that's why, like what you said, chapter 2 is like, you need to have that support. You need to have, because if that's corrupt, then everything else is going to fall into disarray as well. So,
Courtney, you've provided, I think, a lot of value to our listeners. Can I ask, is there anything that I can do for you and your audience?
I don't have any ideas at the moment. Maybe just if you feel like this message resonates with you, it's available on Amazon. It's called My Diamond Within. Eventually, we'll get a book funnel. We'll get it to a point where we can sell it for more than what I get on Amazon. But for now, that's where I'm at. But
I'll put the link in the comments below.
we'll put the link. And if you feel like it resonates with you, I would appreciate the support and hope that it resonates with all you listeners out there. And thank you.
Absolutely. Any last message?
Have a good day.
Hey, let's trade real quick. So I got a copy of my book for you. How the hell are you doing this? A Story of Life and Leadership by Captain Parker McCumber.
Sweet. I can't wait to read it.
And forgive me, it is a true first edition. I have found some editorial errors in there since publishing.
Hey, first editions are great.
And then I appreciate it. My Diamond Within. And like Courtney said, it's on Amazon. I'm going to put the link in the comments for it below.
All right.
Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for letting
Appreciate
me
you.
come. Appreciate it.